Objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that the privilege of the floor be extended to Matt Squarey, a member of my team, for the balance of the day.
Without objection.
Thank you. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "The purpose of life is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you lived and lived well. It is not the length of life, but the depth of life that matters." In that spirit, I rise today to bid farewell to a member of my team, Matt Squarey, who's one of the most useful, honorable, compassionate people I have ever worked with. And his public service has made a difference in the lives of so many, including the lives of some of the most vulnerable people around the world. Not only do I want to thank him for the length of his service in the Senate, I want to thank him for the depth of his service. Matt joined my team in 2019 after several years working for our former colleague, Senator Heidi Heitkamp, and before that, the Department of Defense and the Center for Strategic and International Studies. His legislative skill and his policy expertise were immediately evident. What took a little longer to emerge was his encyclopedic knowledge of college football, especially for our shared alma mater, Stanford, not to mention his love for watching boxing. For those of you who know Matt, that might sound surprising, but if you've worked with him, it makes perfect sense, because if the cause is worthwhile, if it's for democracy, if it's for justice, if it's for human rights, then Matt loves a good fight. He doesn't crash in like a brawler, he works methodically like a boxer. A great example of that was early on, when negotiations on a bill had been stuck in a stalemate with the House for months. We'd gone round and round with the House, and then Matt went to work. He floated over conflicts. He parried the problems, and within 2 months, he knocked it out and passed it into law. He's taken on much bigger fights since then. After joining my team, he set out to cultivate working relationships with the staff of members on both sides of the aisle of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and the Congressional Executive Commission on China. His goal was simple: to turn CECC's, Congressional Executive Commission on China's, research, advocacy, and awareness raising into bipartisan legislation, new laws that would make a real difference for real people. In 2019, as the Chinese government began its brutal crackdown on Hong Kong, Matt led our successful efforts to protect Hong Kong's people by banning the export of crowd control equipment to the Hong Kong police. Soon he took on an even more ambitious project, tackling the problem of genocide of the Uyghur people and their forced labor in Xinjiang province. He helped coordinate with CECC the release of a landmark report in March 2020. That report became the launching point for passing some of the most ambitious human rights legislation the United States has ever considered, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. The premise of the bill was quite simple. American consumers have the right to know if their products are made with forced labor in China, and they have the right to choose not to do business with those companies. Matt officially joins the CECC staff in 2021. He was central to the negotiations that began in committee in January and continued all the way through final passage in December. And he didn't stop there. He pushed the Olympics and the NBA to stop using uniforms made by or made from materials made by forced labor in China. China, multinational corporations, the Olympics, the NBA, you see what I mean about him not shying away from a fight. And since then, he has helped us hold hearings, introduce legislation, improve policies to protect the people of Hong Kong, the people of Tibet, the Uyghur people, to stand up to the Chinese government's transnational repression. There's a lot more I could say about Matt's work on legislation. What stands out to me, though, and to everyone who knows Matt, is just how wonderful he is to work with. As one of my senior staff said about starting in our office, Matt was the person I looked up to, the person I wanted to emulate. He is fun, he is unflappable, he is morally clear, and he is legislatively masterful. And he is generous with his time, whether to help folks new to our team learn their way around or help them understand complex human rights issues in far corners of the world. We will miss having him as part of our team. I quoted Emerson at the start of these remarks. Later in the same piece, Emerson wrote, "To leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded." Countless people around the world who have never met Matt Squarey have breathed easier because of his work. So it's with gratitude that Team Merkley, the Congressional Executive Commission in China, and I thank Matt Squarey for his service to this institution, his service to this nation, his service to human rights around the world. We wish him all the best as he moves on to his next assignment. Thank you.